Hey folks, Jason Dukes with Dirt Race Life. So check this out. I've got a new 9-inch Ford housing right here. And my race car is a metric frame, which is the GM W 4-link suspension. Now I've got all these brackets that are cut off of the old rear end ready to go. The question is, how do I put these on this rear end in the right spots where this works correctly in this car? Yeah, let's figure that out in this episode. The challenge for doing a job like this yourself would be that you don't have a jig to like mount the 9-inch floater housing in and then it locates the brackets for you. But if you step back and you think about it, you do have a jig because you've got a car frame. That's your jig. So really where that you've got to pay attention is getting it all lined up correctly, because this is going to locate the stuff for you. So my lowers right here, I've got them set to stock length at 19 3/8 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in and we're going to just start mounting the rear end up. And then I'm going to show you a couple tricks as far as getting it in the right place before we weld it up, because that's really the secret to it. So let me get these in right quick. I've got one mark I need to make on this housing before I move it under the car, because I've got to figure out where that center line is going to be at for where my bolt is going to go through. And so I want to put a center line on that tube that represents the very bottom of the tube. Now this is the bottom side. Actually, with it oriented correctly, it's like this. That's the top, and then this is the bottom. But that bottom is what we're fooling with here. So I'm going to take and I'm just going to put a level on it, and I'm going to set it straight up and down level. And this doesn't have to be perfect, because I mean you can adjust it out. But if you were doing a street, if you were doing like a street car and you were using all stock control arms, ideally you try to get this stuff as close as you could, because you don't have like adjusting hinds and stuff like that. You know, on a race car where that you can put any type of an adjustable hind end anywhere, you know, you can be off a little bit and it really won't matter. It's not going to hurt anything. But we want it as perfect as we can get it. So like I've got it straight, and I turn around and I've got another level right here where I can get this one straight up and down and just go in 1.5 inches. I've got a ruler here, and then that'll tell me that's the exact bottom. It's just that easy, y'all. So I'll make 2 marks, take a straight edge and draw a line between them, and I'll have a line on both sides. Hold it still. All right, this is ready to go under the car. Don't have to get it perfect right now. Just going to get it in the general area. Now I'm going to take and raise it up as well. I know how much to raise it. I'm going to raise it until those bars get about level. That'll work right in there. Same on each side. Yep. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's the side. On both sides. There's that one. There's that one. Yep. That's about right. That's about right. Of course, it's not aligned side to side or lined up or anything, but I had to get it up because I need to string the car. All right, let's check it out. I've got a hole in the center between my mount points on the front that represents the exact center of the car on the front, and I need to pull a string to the back and find the true center line. And I have a mark on this rear end under the bottom that marks exactly halfway on this rear end. Not the center of the housing right here. The center section, you know, that's offset for this gear, but the center from end of hub to end of hub on both sides. I've got that marked. So let's get this string on here. I got her hooked in on the front. I'm going to pull it rearward. And I've got me a battery and a piece of lead here. Something heavy, really doesn't matter, but I want to get the height where it's right under that rear end. Yeah, I figured that'd be about right. Okay, so you can see where I tied the string on, and I just weighted it down back here, and I've run up through here, and then look. See how I set a square in the floor like that? And I kind of had to extend the square, but hey, you make it work, right? What I did was I measured from suspension point to suspension point across here, found exactly where the center was, and that's where I set that square. And then I moved that weight on the end of that line until that line just bumped up against it. So now I know that that string right there is exactly in the center of the car. And then I've got a mark on the bottom of the rear end, so I know when I move this rear end left to right, I know exactly where to set it to get it right in the middle of the suspension points on the car. Not the frame, not the tubing up there, none of that. The actual suspension points in the center of that. That gets the side-to-side part figured out as far as left to right, getting it set in the exact right spot. But we got to set the front to back. That's why we put that line under the bottom of that tube. So let's do that now. Now I've got a level on it right now to be just perfectly straight up and down. We're going to set the pinion angle on the next part. Don't worry about that right now. All right, so I've got this lower control arm bolted up tight. I've got the length on it set. And I'm just going to take and bump it up against the bottom of the rear end. And then I'm just going to take and scoot this rear end until the center of the heim, where the bolt would go through, is right in the middle of that black line I drew. Get right up underneath it and look. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to get it close. Like I said, I've got a little bit of adjustment. Now, if you were doing this on a street vehicle with no adjustment on anything and you're trying to get it all lined up just right, you really want to try to get this right. Ideally, this is a two-man job with one person doing the measuring and looking at another one, like moving stuff around for you. It would be a lot easier with two people. I ain't gonna lie, it'd be a lot easier with two people. For this next part, we're going to bolt the lower trailing arm into our bracket right here. Now we know we've got it zeroed when it comes all the way up. It's right under the center. And of course, this is a radius set of holes right here. So we're just going to drop down to that hole and we're just going to take and bolt it up, and then that's going to be fixed in position. So we'll throw this on and we're starting to commit to stuff now. This is where we got to make sure we don't bump or move anything. All right, so that's pretty tight. Okay, so that's bolted up. I'm just going to center it, and I'm going to put some spot welds. I'm not going to weld anything up solid until we know we're happy, but I'm just going to hold it up there. I'm going to center this bad boy up. I'm going to spot weld it in, and we're going to let a rip tater chip. Make sure that's lined up. That there, I declare, is square and straight. Woo! You hot little booger bear, you. That looks good. Get that opposite corner. I gotta hold my hand on it where maybe I can keep it from moving. Don't. Come on. Come around here. Right like that. Woo! Where's a long sleeve shirt when you need one? Okay, I got two corners opposite of each other. That bad boy right there. All right, in my square, in my pointed, I'm looking for that channel to be pointed straight up at that trailing arm. It is. It looks just fantastic. Yeah, buddy. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. We're setting up pinion angle now, and so I set the engine is set to 0. The back of the firewall, the back of the transmission, it's exactly 90 degrees and 0 to the horizon. So all I have to do is just look at the reading on the digital protractor itself, and I know that is my complete pinion angle. I don't have to figure in any math with where the engine's at. I've got a video on that. I'll put the link. As far as like the difference between them is really what your pinion angle is. But right now we're tilted back. We need to be tilted forward. So let me set this in a good spot, pointing straight up and down. Oh, that was a little too much. We're like 80. Hold on a second. Yep. Yeah, so that's like 7 degrees. So we need to back them up. Back that one up. There you go. Get them sitting flat. There's 85. We're going to 86. We want 4 degrees. About right there. Right down here, Ryan. I want you to hold that for me in a certain spot. Lay your finger on the side of that trailing arm there. Yeah, about right there. Lay it up there. There you go, right there. Yep. Right there. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. Hold still for a second. Let me get a little more on it. I think I got a spot right there, don't I? Yep. All right, let go. Let go. Let me get one more on this corner. These are just my temporaries because I'm liable to have to jerk stuff loose. But that is, yep. We're good. All right, let's put the other side on. So y'all can see my trailing arm set up. So it's a stock trailing arm. I beefed it up just a little bit. Stock rubber durometer that's stock GM. I want soft on one end, and then I got a monoball on this end. And because I've got rubbers on 4 corners like that, and then monoballs on the other 4, I'm going 4 degrees is all I'm doing. That's all it needs is 4. It doesn't need 6, doesn't need 7. All it does is cause vibration. Just 4 degrees. That's all we're doing on the pinion angle. So, let's get this up here. See where my protractor's at, Ryan? Let's see, am I in my
86.2.
Oh yeah, I can live with that. We're still dead center. We're fixing to have her completely locked up once we get this one spotted. And then we ain't got to worry about it anymore. Then we'll just make a sanity check. Make sure that everything, we're going to string the car, the hub to hub, and check our wheelbase. But I already know I'm right because I know the car's square. Because see, I built this car on a jig, so I already know my mount points are perfect and square and yada yada yada. But it's a good point. If you were doing a street car, I know I'm straight because of what I'm doing here. But like, if you don't know that the car is perfectly straight and your mount points are like square to the chassis, you would want to pull a string like from the front, you know, from the front lower control arm back to the tube as well on each side to make sure your wheelbase was even. You know, you can't assume that stuff. You got to know. And in my case, I do know, but we'll still check it before I weld everything up solid.
You got a gap at the front.
Right there?
Uh-huh.
That's okay. That's just cause, oh no, that's not okay.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold it for me right there. Holler when you got it.
All right.
You got it? What's my pinion angle reading?
How do I turn it back on?
Just move it and I think it'll come back on.
86.15.
Yep, that's good. That's good. That top one's holding it. It's not moving around on us anymore. All right, hang on. I can't quite get my angle right.
86.20.
Hell yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. That's so 3.8 degrees of pinion angle with the car sitting 0 on the engine. So that's the real pinion angle that's in the rear end. It's pretty well sitting where it's sitting at ride height. So at this point, we're seized up all the way around on all 4. So let's pop that clamp loose right there. Knock that clamp loose right there. All right. And let's and we can unhook this string. All right. And let's drop this thing down on this left here like that. That's going to be full droop. Where did my pinion angle go to? I lost most of my pinion angle in that.
89.65.
Okay, so I still have positive pinion angle even with it dropped all the way out. That's all I can ask for. So that's good. Now all that pinion angle is going to come in as this goes up. So it's going to come back to like 4 degrees, right?
Yeah, you're at 86.75.
That's right. That's right. See, and then as that drops down, what happens is this control arm is rolling back, and so it's rolling the pinion, it's rolling the rear end out on top as it drops down. All right, so with this dropped all the way down, I can't see it. What is my lower trailing arm angle on my left rear? Right there.
33.30.
All right, so 33 degrees on my lower bar. That's a ton. If I could actually get that, that would be a crazy amount of drive that it would generate. Well, we won't actually be able to get this much because like my shop, hand me my tape measure right there. Yeah, see, because like that would be, how much shop travel would that be to be way down there? Yeah, my shock travel would have to be out at like say 29 or 30 inches. And I don't have that shock travel. I'm way up here at like 19 or 20 inches, I think. Somewhere up in here. You follow me?
Right.
Like, realistically, I'm going to tap out and be on my chain more like up in here is where I'm going to be. Somewhere like that is where I'm going to be. Let's pull a tape measure from my lower control arm on the front on each side to the tube. So we're just going to make a cursory check to make sure that, you know, like from the lower control arm ball joint to the center of the tube is the same on both sides. If you were in a street car, or you were in a, like say you're in a stock car class where that you have to run a stock lower trailing arm with no adjustment allowed. When you put this together, or when you did this, or you know, you're putting brackets on, you know, you can't help wherever those holes are drilled and mounted and however that frame is, if it's gonna skew the car in a way that you don't want, you're gonna have to move that slightly. You know, and you can figure out, and you know, the thing is, and the other part of it is like, I'm going to adjust with my heim joints the trail on the right rear or the lead on the left rear that I want to put in the car. And I don't put much because it dynamically gets it, that goes forward when that goes down. But if I'm in a class where that I have to run a stock trailing arm with no adjuster on it, then yes, that's where I start considering, do I slightly move forward or back with where this mount is at in order to clock this side a little bit forward, you know, with lead, or pull the right rear back a little bit with trail. That's the decision you have to make, is you have to decide. I would make that decision based on a measurement of the wheelbase front to back, as far as that goes. You got it hung on it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good. That's, all right, that is 108 3/8. Okay, see now, like on this side right here, I'm 108 1/4 inches. So we're 108 3/8 on that left side and 108 1/4 on this right side. That's an 1/8 inch difference. Doesn't concern me at all because I have got, you know, an inch of adjustment on these heim joints, and I'm gonna end up making my final adjustments after the car is set up and stuff. So no issues there at all. That 1/8 inch could just be in my lower control arms on the front, because I know I lined all of this stuff up. But you know, you saw I eyeballed that under the bottom of that rear end. So it's possible. You know, I'm a 16th off one way and a 16th off on the other. Just eyeballing it from underneath. Absolutely. Now, what do I say as far as like, when would I make a change? Well, like with me having adjustable heims on these lower trailing arms, no problem. I'm not worried about 1/8 of an inch. Maybe if it was 1/4, I'd look at maybe cutting off one of the two bottoms and like moving it slightly to like correct that. If you're running stock lower trailing arms on a street car or a class where that you can have no adjustment allowed whatsoever in your trailing arms, yeah, you're gonna want to, you know, maybe take and shift that to make sure that you get everything perfect, because you can't help what the frame is. You can't help, you know, like I said, if you got holes in the frame that were drilled slightly off the chain, you know, the frame was never put on a jig and straightened up. So you got to do what you got to do. And I would get to this point and get these measurements and pull that, and then decide to like knock the spot welds loose, make a little bit of a move here, and put it back. Because if you try to like set lead in your car on that front end when we first put these on, and we got all that other stuff we got to do, you're going to be lost. Don't do that. Don't do that. Wait until you get to this point. Then if you had to make an adjustment, you know, grind your welds off, make a little bit of an adjustment. You got the whole rear end still being held in place, you'll be okay. All right, what's next? Well, for us, this is where we're going to stop, because I'm just going to take and pull this out, put it up on the bench, sit there, take my time, weld this thing up. I'm going to probably weld in 1-inch segments and work my way around. Let it cool, no water, no rapid cooling. We don't want to pull or twist any of these tubes or anything like that. So we'll take our time. I'll probably take the rest of this evening and just weld all of this up solid, and then we can put it back together, and then I'll do the brake calipers. I think in my next episode I have showed how to do brake caliper brackets before, but I'll show that again. We'll do a real short version on it. I'll show you how to get these mounted on here and get it all lined up with the rotors and whole 9 yards. We'll do that in the next episode, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit like, share it, all that good stuff. I will see you next time. Say bye, Ryan.
Bye.